Friday. We are here, and I am crossing my fingers that I stay online this time. Welcome, everyone. Friday, October 27th. Last Friday in October. The month just flew by, but we're here. And as you can see, we're dressed up because it is the spooky IT hour. When it is close to Halloween, we like to have a theme and do our spooky, scary IT stories and talk about the gotchas. And it's time to have some fun. So, welcome everyone. I'm Becky Scott, head of community at Jump Cloud. We've got Urvashi, our technical champion, and Kelly. Welcome back. Nice to
Hi,
have you back with us.
everybody. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So I guess getting close to Halloween. Are you doing any parties this weekend, or are you waiting until the day of to do anything fun?
We tend not to get a lot of trick-or-treaters at my house. I don't know why. We usually put out, decorations and stuff, but we don't always get a lot of people. So this year, my house is a full-size candy bar house because it's usually like a single-digit number of people. So my husband went to Costco and they had like a box that was like 25 candy bars or something. And he was like, here, we barely get any trick-or-treaters. So if they show up, we'll make it worth their time. I'm that house, like, living
Wow.
the dream, right? So yeah.
Opposite end on ours because we have a big neighborhood, and we
Yeah.
will have hundreds, like probably 5 to 800 kids come by
Wow.
our
Yeah.
house. Yes,
Yeah.
we are that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So Brandon says, I lived in the country as a kid. I did too. We used to have to drive between
Oh yeah,
houses
same.
to go trick or treating.
Yeah. And
Literally.
my mom would get like something special for each of the kids that lived on our actual road. Street is a strong word. It was gravel. So she would, so like, here's one for this one and this one and this one, because there's only like 4 kids. So she would get something special for each of them, but then she would get 2 bags of candy, in case. And I think it was just to save her having to send us out trick or treating so that she still ended up with a bunch of candy at the end of the night because it was always stuff that she liked.
Hmm. So we would get trick or treaters, a few, mostly cousins because it was all family
Yes.
that lived nearby. So, but it was fun. So I think you can tell what I'm dressed as. It's not that hard to figure it out. And Kelly, do you want to hold up your mug to kind of give people the full clue? There you go. Now you can see Kelly's outfit, but Urbashi's is a little harder.
I
Do you
like
want do you want
the
to tell people, or do you want to
Okay.
hold up the
Stuart has a
picture?
great guess.
that was a really, really good guess, actually.
Oh, wait. I happen to have some right here.
I need my
Close.
eyebrows to go way higher.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's pretty good.
I
Um,
am dressed as every South Asian's most scary person in their lives, the South Asian dad. And let me just tell you that I'm keeping an eye on you, and your math grades better be 115 out of 100, or you're getting kicked out of this house. That's all I have to say.
that is scary. I'm terrified now. I think
Yeah.
You should be.
whew. All
Not
right.
sleeping tonight.
So, I just got chills. I literally the hair on my arm is I don't know if you can see it, but it's raising up there. All right. So we've got a great show planned. We've got the usual community updates, and we have an announcement of who won the I Make Work Happen drawing. And I saw that we had a question about Isaac had a question about the I Make Work Happen giveaways. Is it something where you make a submission and you're entered into all, or do you have to make one weekly and join it? Urvashi, can you ping Alexa real quick? Because actually, I don't remember. I know that when you enter, you are definitely in for the monthly, but I don't remember if you have to do it weekly to get the weekly giveaways. So I'll check on the weekly part, but it definitely puts you in for the monthly $1,000 drawing. So we'll get back to you on the second half of that question. We are also giving away 2 certifications today. We're giving away a voucher for a core and a voucher for an advanced certification. So we will have that form up and in the comments and let y'all enter for that one. So that's going to be fun. And we're going to be chatting with Kelly about some spooky, scary IT stories and how to avoid running into those. And I'll tell a little bit about what happened to me last week just for kicks and giggles because it was scary and terrifying. Well, at
And
least
it
to
was
me it
scary and
was.
terrifying for me also.
Yeah.
I had my Halloween episode early.
Yeah, I mean, I could have sworn it was Friday the 13th and we'd regressed back a week because everything that could go wrong did. Let me just tell you. All right. So this week's winner is Yidan Zhang, data security architect at 60 decibels. Congratulations for winning the $100 gift card and our monthly. Guess what? It's the end of the month, so that means it's our monthly winner. And sorry, my screen just went blank for a second as I'm going back. Keith Richard, you won the monthly. I think it's just a T-shirt. I don't think it's really that big of a prize, but you know,
Hey, I have a
congratulations
Jump Club
anyway.
T-shirt, and it's pretty awesome. So
Oh, and
I
these
would
are the
say, yeah.
new these are the new I Make Work Happen T-shirts,
Oh,
and
well,
they've
I
got
don't have one of those,
they're
so I
even
can't comment.
they're even better. They're even better. No, it's
But
a
to
pretty
get your
cool
T-shirt,
prize.
to get your
Yeah.
T-shirt, you have to send me your grades from the advanced certification, and only if they're good enough will you actually get the T-shirt.
Oh, Keith, you better get on that. Oh, and you have to get on screen and tell us your spooky, scary story today. Like that's a requirement. It's not really. No. Congratulations to both of you. We're very excited to have you win that. And Alexa will be getting in touch with you to get those prizes to you. And Urvashi, if you have the link to the entry for the certificate giveaways, we can go ahead and put that in and let people start putting their entries in. And we will actually do the drawing toward the end of the show. All right, my screen keeps going blank on our just my browser is I guess my problems aren't over yet. So I'm gonna pull our show notes over into another window so it doesn't keep going blank because
I think you
I
should
do.
minimize the other 875 tabs, Becky. I think it will.
Shh, don't tell my secrets. Don't tell my secrets here.
Those are her emotional support tabs. They have to be open.
That's right. I feel weird if I don't have them all open because then I can't find anything. So,
Okay.
what do we have new in the community? A little quiet this week, but we got a couple of people asking for help. Cartwheel, I love that. Cartwheel has a question about the agent not checking in and would like some help there. And Zebiles is asking about lots of O365 login prompts. So they could use some help. And what we usually do there is we wait to let y'all jump in before we jump in to help. So we like to give you a chance to show your expertise before we go answer those. So that's why we hold back a little bit, let you go show what you know, and then we will jump in when needed. And we are doing a new thing in the IT hour section of the community. Urvashi has posted the transcript for our session with the advanced certification from Jump Cloud University.
Cool.
And what we're going to start doing is taking the text, the main part of the show, and put the transcript in the IT hour section of the community so that when you want to go back and look for something from a demo or a part of the IT hour, you can go back and find it. And we've actually had a few people reach out and say, "Hey, I was searching for this and I kind of had to go back through the show to find it." And we thought maybe having a transcript would make it a little bit easier to find stuff like that. So we're doing this as an experiment to see if that would help. So when people search, if they're searching in Google, it'll help bring it in, but also if you're just searching on the community, then you can go back and say, "Hey, that particular episode, I know they talked about this." Like, let's say,
Mhm.
when Scott or somebody else is on and they were doing a particular piece of a demo, you can go find it more easily. Um, and yes, I see you all talking about me in the chat there. You're talking about my Chrome tabs. So, yes, I see that. So I'm keeping an eye on you. I'm gonna stick Urvashi on you, and she's gonna give you that look.
Speaking of scary IT stories, Becky's Chrome tabs. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's the whole story.
it is scary when I share my screen, and then when I reboot, and it says I've got 15 windows, and there's 87 tabs just in one window. Yeah, that's just
Mhm.
one window. Ah, it's enjoyable how much memory it takes up, but that's why I have one of the computers that has as much memory as they will give me. Those are my bookmarks. I use groups though. I use groups to kind of help, like this is my to-do list and this is my weekly that I always need to refer back to, so I hate to close it because I'm always using it.
Mhm.
So, that's my memory. That's how my brain works, is I have them in different sections.
Mhm.
I do have 2 monitor well, I have 2 monitors. Maybe I need a 3rd one, Brandon. Yeah, let's do a let's do a unfortunately, we can't do a feature request for that, so I'll have to figure out how to how to make that happen. All right. We are gonna jump into the I do go back to the tabs, Keith. He says
Yeah.
group tabs are a way for me to never go back to them. I actually keep them open like that because I do jump back to them. So I've got a window that has a bunch of community tabs with all the different things I do in the community. And then I've got another set of windows that has like Reddit and Spiceworks and LinkedIn and all the other stuff. And then I've got my email that has the hundreds of tabs that I've opened from email attachments. So I the Mission Impossible wall of tabs. That's kind of what it yeah, and Becca says she's like me and have 20 pin tabs I use all day every day. Yeah, I definitely have my
Mhm.
email and my calendar and my Google Drive. Those are all pinned because I'm in those
Yep.
constantly. So
Yep.
definitely. All right, so we're going to jump into uh Kelly here and talk a little bit about avoiding scary security situations. Kelly, what's your scariest IT story? I know we were talking about this
Yeah.
yesterday.
Well, like as current events go, MGM casinos got hacked because someone went on LinkedIn from this hacking group and found someone who works there and somehow got like the help desk number for like the internal MGM IT help desk and called it and somehow got a password reset for somebody, and because that person had listed on LinkedIn, like, this is where I work. And that was how they got into the system and introduced some ransomware and took everything down. So that was fun.
Social
And
engineering,
then,
it's at its
yeah,
finest.
right. So, but that's why it's scary is, I work at an MSP and I don't always know everybody. So we do try to check and make sure that we do know somebody or have some other like alternate means of contact with that person or something. So we haven't had anything like this where somebody has tried with us, but that was immediately why it stressed me out. Was like, if I get an email from somebody and they want help with something, how do I prove that it's really them? So that one is the one that's scaring me right now because yeah, it's social engineering, but it also didn't really involve anything nefarious. So, it wasn't, somebody clicked on a link or somebody did something a little creative to make something happen. Somebody did something they probably do a bunch of times a day. Like, I changed I need my password changed. Can you just read it to me? Cause I can't get into my email, whatever. I don't know what details of the phone call were, but just that somebody could have called up and not had anything to do with the company and managed to get in anyway. That one is very scary.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit, and it's like, so how did they? Because usually if it's like a password reset, it would
Yeah,
go maybe to an email or something. So
yeah.
how did they get the password and then do something with it? So that is definitely scary. And that plays into what happened to me last Friday was my internet went down, and so I was trying to connect to my hotspot with my phone. And so I rebooted my computer because it wasn't connecting to my hotspot, and I tried to log back in and my password wasn't working. So I typed it in too many times and I got locked out. And so I pinged our IT to have them unlock me. They did. It still wasn't working. So we wound up having to just try to reset. It went so far as having to use my file recovery key. Now, meanwhile, we're actually wound up being on the phone to do this because, they had to give me
Mhm.
my file recovery key. So we're a small enough company that, we mostly know who each other are. And we did this via a call, via um, secure means to where they would know that they're talking to me.
Right.
Uh, so we're fortunate in that way that they were able to talk to me and give me the file recovery key directly. But I can see where this could be, like especially if I didn't have the means to get some of that stuff on my
Yeah.
phone, then it would
Yeah.
be like, great, how do I contact IT? So then
Mhm.
add to my what was scary, it's not really a scary story, but it was a just a comedy of errors. Had to use my recovery key to get back in and then finally did, still had my internet down. So I didn't get back online until like late that evening. My poor kids were just like, I don't know what to do. All my games are online. There's nothing else for me to do. I'm so bored. Like they couldn't even watch, like we still have a DVD player and movies. So technically they could watch a movie or something. But like when you think about it, almost everybody has their stuff on, like Netflix or
Mhm.
Hulu or Apple TV or something, and those are all online. So if you don't have your
Yeah.
internet, you still can't even just
Yeah.
go watch something. So they were just complaining and like, "Oh, I don't know. What am I gonna do, mom? I'm so bored." And I'm like, "Well, if you're really that bored, I can give you something to do." And of course, that's like a kid's worst nightmare. It's like, "No, no, don't give me something to do," because it's always gonna be chores, right? It's
Yeah.
go load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So, we went and did our usual ice cream and then, came back home, but it still was not online until, like, 8 o'clock at night, so they were just beside themselves. Uh, but yeah, once I got back into my computer because I had to use file recovery and get back into everything, I was logged out of everything, and I had to go reset up pretty much everything, password manager, log back into
Yeah.
everything and Jump Cloud Go and all of that. So, that was my scary story of the last few months because you don't wanna have to go through all that because that's a pain to have to recover
Yeah.
everything. I 0 stars, do not recommend. So
I can't remember which movie it was, but there was some movie where the villains decide to like take out the like electrical grid for some city and then they do whatever they need to do. And I was like, that would never work in India because our electricity goes out all the time. We all have power backup. It'll never work. We know how to do things without power. So it's the same with me and my internet. I have two internet connections because one of them is going to have a bad day.
yeah. Well, and I technically do too because I have my phone can be a hotspot, and I guess because the entire area was out, everybody else was trying to do the same thing, and so, yeah, the cell phone hotspot wasn't working either. So Brandon says, FYI, if anyone's here in Canada, there's a massive scam operation happening right now where people are trying to pretend to be the promotions department for your cell provider. So, yeah, I mean, there's always something. I'm getting texts all the time saying, "Oh, hey, your payment failed for whatever provider that I don't even have, or I'm getting emails saying, we just processed your payment for such and such. I got one the other day and I'm like, I don't even have that service, so I'm certainly not going to open that email. But it's just really easy to people fall for that. So you just have to
Hmm.
be very careful. So let's look at what else we had on. I keep clicking on the wrong window. I'll tell you what, I'm still going to get my screen going blank again because I clicked on the wrong window again.
Oh no.
So I just can't win today. So there are lots of ways that organizations get hacked. We were just talking about MGM, and I think when that happened to MGM, there was another hotel that had the same issue too.
Caesar's had some sort of issue like right around the same time.
Yeah, their
Yeah.
their network went down for something similar. So in a recent
Mhm.
blog, we had highlighted 6 of the most common cyber attacks on small medium enterprise. And we were going to talk a little bit about what organizations can do to avoid each of these situations. And I am going to paste that blog into the chat here. So, Kelly, let's talk a little bit about those
Yeah.
different things. I think the first one we were going to talk about was ransomware.
Yeah. Um, ransomware is one of like the broad strokes, just to give like a definition for people, is somebody gets into your network with nefarious intent and they lock everything down and they say, if you pay me, I'll unlock it for you. And sometimes it's a whole lot of money, sometimes it's Bitcoin, sometimes it's there's all kinds of different sort of demands that they will make. And the thing that usually starts it is something that tends to be one of the standard things that people get warned about all the time, like don't click on a link, and don't if you get something that looks weird about your email password is expiring, or things like that, like don't go enter your password into stuff if you don't if you didn't explicitly type in the URL to go there or something. And a lot of those end up it can be really bad. We've seen fallout from some of those. There was I think it was like a fuel company, like a company that runs gas stations a few years ago, that like got ransomware, and so like none of their pumps were working. So there were some places where like that was the only gas station, and so people were having a hard time getting gas for their automobiles, because there was no way around it. And I think that one was a ransomware attack. And the fallout is always terrible, because if it's everything, like if you're one of those companies that everything lives in cloud storage somewhere, everything's in Dropbox, everything's in Google Drive, whatever, and now nobody can access that, what do you do?
Yeah, I
And
think 50 to 70% of ransomware attacks are aimed at small businesses. So it's
mhm.
it's tough. It can really cripple a business when they can't get to their information. And even the MGM one was actually wound up being ransomware when it was all said and done. And I think the article we had talked about originally was saying that they were refusing, or had refused to pay it because of how high it was. I don't know if they ever did finally decide to pay it, or how they resolved it, but
I'm not sure. I don't remember what the outcome from that was, but there are
mhm.
some places that have waited it out. Like, we said no, and it was a small number of people, so we just wiped everybody's machines and went after it, because we have a disaster recovery plan. And so when everything fell over, we had a way to bring it. We had a way to restore from all of that. So, some places don't pay and don't care, and like it cost them a little bit of time, but it didn't, not near as much as it would have cost them in money or something like that. So that one's always interesting to me, like seeing somebody that not only has a plan, but it's a plan that actually worked. Like, we had a plan and we walked through all the steps in the plan and now everything's fine, which is what the plan is for. So,
Yeah, I mean, that can't be emphasized enough that having a disaster recovery plan, having a continuity plan, doing an exercise to walk through those in case something like this happens, and making sure that it actually works the way you think it's going to. Tabletop exercises are great for that.
mhm,
Um, I've been through some that just kind of walk you through as if something has happened and it's more like scripted, but
mhm,
the best ones are the ones where you walk through it as if it's happening in real time. Like it's not just a script you read, but it's a scenario based where you get
yeah,
everybody in a room and you go, "Oh my god, we've been we've been breached. Either something happened or we've got a ransomware attack going on and we need to
mhm,
respond right now." And you walk through that plan, that emergency response plan, as if it's happening
mhm,
real time, and you get everybody in that needs to be involved. And you walk through and make sure there are no gaps in that plan, and you get everybody to respond as if it's happening in real time. And you can lay out the scenario of, like, you could model it after something that's happened in the news,
yeah,
like MGM or Caesars or another
yeah,
something that you've seen in the news, and model it after that, and then say, "We're gonna act like this is happening to us," and then go through it from beginning to end, like the first time you discover it, hear about it, all the way through remediation, and make sure that you are following your plan, so that way you can see if there are any missteps or anything you don't have that you need to be addressing. Do you have the right people involved? Do you have um the right, just not only the right people but the right steps? Do you have legal? Do you have your PR team? Who
mhm,
on your security team is authorized to help with that? And all, I mean, there's so many steps, but make sure
yeah.
you have all of that.
Yeah, and like PR and legal, sometimes aren't part of the plan if somebody just sort of made a list and went, here's what IT needs to do. Like it's not just IT that's involved in something like that. You have to communicate if something happened that was that serious and
Hmm.
external people need to know, people who maybe don't have a lot of contact with IT depending on, what the business is and stuff like that. Um, you know, people who aren't necessarily like how is this going to impact them, and then once they're impacted, like how do you get messaging out to them like we are handling it, how do you get messaging out that it is handled, and instead of just leaving people at like I can't log into anything, what do I do, so
Yeah,
uh yeah,
all of that, and then what happens after, afterward, as well, all of that, and then tweak your plan and test it periodically, because people, you may want to address it more by position than person. Like, you don't want to say,
mhm,
contact Kelly when this happens. It's Kelly's position, because that makes it a little
yeah,
easier. But you want to retest it, review it quarterly or once a year, whatever your timeline is, and then retest it occasionally too, to make sure that things haven't changed. Because really, it, it can't be said enough that you it's better to have it and not need it than
mhm,
to need it and not have it and just be in a
oh,
panic of like, what do we do now?
yeah. And that goes for everything, not just like the servers at an organization. The thing I come across the most with this is time machine backups. A time machine backup might get corrupted and there's not a clear alert about it. There's nothing that like tells you that it's bad. And then, a year from when it all turned on you, you get a new computer and you're trying to use a time machine backup and it says, I can't, this backup is hot garbage. But now what do you do? So that's the one that I see the most. That's a really easy one to resolve. Is like if you if you try to restore something from a time machine back up and see what happens with that. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, you know what, I haven't been able to back up this folder in 6 months. I just couldn't be bothered to tell you that. So that one is very common. And Brandon had three backups. I've always seen the 3-2-1 rule, like have 3 copies of your data. 2 of them should be different backup methods, and 1 of them should be offsite. So that's that always works. But yeah, it's like that's one of the restoration sorts of mechanisms. Like people use it all the time, and you don't know that it's broken until you actually need it. And then when you actually need it and find out that it's terrible, that's not great. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one is about supply chain attacks. You know, in a supply chain attack, the SMEs aren't usually direct targets, but they're just kind of a casualty resulting from a larger breach. So that can be a tough one too at times because you're not the direct target, but you're kind of stuck in the middle, like a few years ago with SolarWinds as an example. You know.
hmm
And then we talked a little bit about this phishing and its variants. I know I saw some in the comments about people talking about phishing. Let's see, where was that? Brandon and some others, I think, we're talking a little bit about that. Yeah, Brandon was saying no before and a few things like that because the average org has a 37.9 phishing test fail rate. So, Kelly, do you all do?
Yay.
Do you all do testing like that? How do you manage with educating people on phishing?
We try. We were just talking about that this morning. That sometimes no matter what you do, people are still going to click on those links. You know, the thing, like when we do, security presentations and try to explain it to people, one of the things that I always try to tell people is that people are always the weakest link in anything. You can use all the security in the world, and the minute somebody says, "But could you please change my password for me, please?" and then you break down and do it, that's where it will go wrong. Or somebody gets an email, and we've seen like the rise of deep fakes and people sampling voices and sending it to your grandparents and saying, I'm in jail and some foreign country, and I need you to wire me money immediately and whatever. Like we've seen stuff like that go around all the time, and all you can really do is try to educate people. Like, this is the thing that happens. This is something people and people have been doing it forever. Like, that's the thing that I think kind of gets lost sometimes, is that I remember like in the 90s, people sending around emails like, click here to you've won a trip to Disneyland, click here to claim, and like that kind of stuff has been going around, to people's email addresses as long as people have had email addresses. So, I remember finally training like my family members to not click on those things, to not forward stuff to everybody in their address book. And I remember one of my aunts would call me. One of my aunts and one of my uncles, the two of them were not married, but one of them would call me and go, "I just got one of those emails and I didn't send it to anybody. I just hit delete." And I'm like, "You get a cookie." So you win, and now you get to go be superior to your wife and her sisters, because you were smart enough not to fall for it, and I know that they've sent me a couple of those recently. So you win. And like my aunt got a call. Like, one of my favorite interactions ever was my aunt called me and said, "I just wanted to let you know I'm really sorry." And I'm like, "For what?" And she said, someone called me and said they were from Apple technical support. And I said, "Oh, my niece works at Apple. What's your name? Maybe she knows you." And they hung up. And so I just wanted to let you know, I'm sorry that I told them that you worked at Apple. I know that you don't. And I said, if it got a scammer to hang up the phone, you tell them whatever you want about me. You have permission. You tell them I run the Portland, Oregon mob. You tell them whatever you want if it makes them hang up faster. And I'm happy with that. So, and she said, okay, well, I felt bad. And I'm like, okay, well, don't, but you should know I'm going to tell people this story. She said, okay. So I have permission.
You could also tell that you're friends with an Indian dad.
Yeah, Brandon's saying, Brandon's saying that he had a friend's parent who fell for the child in an accident call. I mean, yeah, especially that's playing on someone's emotions and fears that something's going to happen. So I could see where that's just way too easy to happen. I have a friend who it was an admin or somebody at their work who got either a text or an email needing gift cards, and they went and bought them. Got a bunch of gift cards and everything. I got back to the office and went, wait a minute, I should check on this. So before she gave them the numbers, she stopped and said, I think maybe I should make sure this is okay. So they got to her in time to stop it, but it almost got her. Just, because this, I guess people still just tend to think if someone in authority is asking them for something, they need to do it. So it's still just a matter of continuing to train people that, someone's not going to ask you for gift cards and then to give them to them over the phone. That's not how any of this works. I want to put up that meme. That's not how this works. That's not how this works.
Yeah. That's not how the force works, kid. The countermeasure I give people for that all the time is to contact that person another way. So if you get a text message that says it's the CEO who needs a favor, go to Slack or Teams or whatever like internal system you have for that and shoot that person a note and just be like, hey, I got a weird text and I just wanted to confirm it was you, because most of the time the answer will be no. And, that way, and I haven't texted you, I have never texted you. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to confirm, because if you press the person who's sending the messages, oh, this is my other phone, I don't use it much, whatever, like they always have an answer for stuff like that if you try to apply a little pressure. So that's usually the thing that I give people is like anything that looks suspicious, because if it is legitimate and you go to that person and they go, yeah, please do it, it's please do it, go ahead, like then but on the off chance that it's true, most of the time it's not anymore.
And they're not gonna most of the time they're not gonna be mad at you for just verifying. But
because if you verify, like that means you've saved a bunch of hassle, like on all kinds of fronts. And the thing that we tell people with security and stuff is if you get one of those and send it to us, please send it to us if you have any question at all whether or not something is a real email, because it helps twice. First of all, we get to see sort of the current what's going around as far as what kind of stuff there is, so that we're aware that the gift card thing is on the rise again, or some other sort of something people are looking for, or the one that we've gotten recently from a few different people is a fake your Microsoft 365 password is expiring email that goes around, and click here to log in and update your password. And those we like to see them because we like to see that's the thing that's going around right now. But also I would rather spend a minute, maybe two, replying to you and saying, yes, it's fake, delete with impunity, than have you go, oh, I don't want to bother anybody and I'll just go update my password like a good computer user. And, now now you've been hacked and, all kinds of terrible fallout happens from that. I would rather get 100 of those messages and spend 100 minutes replying, here you go. It's no problem. This is fake. Absolutely fake. This one is really entertainingly fake, whatever, because we're informed. And also, like, it also tells me we have a good enough relationship with our users that a user feels comfortable, like, this is weird, right? Oh yeah, that's completely fake. Absolutely delete it. Because it just helps, it means that, like, we have good communication with everybody. They, some people just delete them, which is also fine. If you see it and it's fake, delete it, move on with your day. But we do like to see them for that reason, because we like to know what's out there, what's everybody getting right now, so that if somebody does come and tell us what it is, like, we can tell kind of, we can keep an eye out, like, there's some funny two-factor attempts going around or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan's message that I have up here on the screen right now is actually really scary.
Yeah.
Month-long fish impersonation for a wire transfer over 6 figures. Stopped by a random elevator chat mentioning they were almost ready to send it. Scary. Wow. Just a random a random mention is what kept that one from happening. That is just wow.
Yeah, that happened at my husband's company. It was a similar thing where they got an email that said that it was from a vendor they work with regularly and said, we have new wire transfer information. Please update it. And so when the we're going to cut payments for stuff this week came across his desk, he looked at that one and went, this looks weird, and asked the person about it. And they said, oh, I got an email from them that said we needed to change it. And he said, did you call them to verify that that was right? And they said no. And he said, we never get wire transfer information or bank update information via email, because it's a terrible idea to send it via email. And I was like, you do listen when I talk. So they called, and the person was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that was how the vendor found out that they had been hacked, was because my husband's company called and said, we got this email about new bank information. Is that legit? And they were like, no. So it ended up helping them too. So that was the kind of the rest of the story. So they lucked out in that case, another sort of chance conversation.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
And James is talking about getting text from the CEO saying they need to contact us about an urgent matter. The odd thing is that the texts are going to the personal cell phones. No idea how they're getting that information. I hear that from a lot of people. I think that that I'm not sure how they get that information either, James. I don't know if it's just
personal cell
I see it
phone
in a lot
numbers.
I mean, maybe people have it listed somewhere on a resume somewhere out there, or on LinkedIn, or
lots of people use it for LinkedIn. This is my phone number on LinkedIn, and that gets you. And LinkedIn got breached not long ago. If you ever gave Facebook your phone number, or if someone else synced all their contacts with Facebook, now Facebook has your phone number.
Or WhatsApp, or there's a lot of different apps that will ask you to sync your contacts. And
also a lot of games on Facebook, and like a lot of the quizzes were just like data mining attempts, like just
the Cambridge Analytics. Yeah. So there's lots of probably lots of ways. I mean, there's lots of stuff on the dark web that have stuff like that, where if they connect it to LinkedIn, then I mean, a lot of people, a lot of us now, our cell phones are primary number anyway. So I mean,
that's the other reason some of the scam stuff tries to use landlines, is because a lot of older people will fall for it, and a lot of older people are also socially conditioned not to just hang up on somebody. This person is talking to me and it's rude, and I can't be rude. There's a lot of that too that happens. It's not polite to just hang up on somebody who's talking. And so they get and then that gets them sort of reeled in, because the longer they're on the phone, the more reasonable it sounds that they should really just give this person their credit card number. And then here you go. So.
Yeah. Nathan's story here is very similar to what I was talking about someone getting ready to purchase a bunch of gift cards, and they paused and asked him about it because they didn't know if they should just use their personal credit card to buy them and then get reimbursed. Yeah,
Jeez.
that's just
I'm glad they asked, at
yeah,
least at some point,
exactly.
like beforehand. Yeah, yay. Becca called it, by the way, in the chat. Take your personal cell phone number off LinkedIn. Yeah. I mean, it might already be out there, which is why sometimes and you can tell when somebody like on the dark web has bought the list of LinkedIn information because you get like a bunch of new text messages from that or something. But
Yeah.
it's not obvious that it's in there, but if you ever gave LinkedIn your number, then it's in there. And for a while they were trying to like only do like text you a code as multi-factor. I think there's other options for it now. But for a while that was like the only way that you could do it. And I know there's a whole thing on LinkedIn right now with like get verified or whatever. So it's kind of suspicious in those cases. So like always check that stuff. And I do not give my cell number lightly, and it's for that reason. And I don't get anywhere near the number of junk texts that a lot of people do. I get some, but not near like people I know who are like, yeah, like I all the time, constantly. Like I don't really get those. Most of what I get is wrong numbers. Like somebody typed in a phone number to send a message to somebody and got it wrong. Those are usually the ones I get that are not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and having a different area code than where I live helps because then I know that it's spammy. But for a while I had mine visible only to my contacts on LinkedIn. I didn't have it visible publicly, but if anyone was connected to me, they could find it. And I found quickly once I realized that I had done that, I changed it because I was getting, phone calls from salespeople when I didn't want that. Because I was like, wait a minute, how are these people calling me when I didn't give them my cell phone number? And then I went digging and I'm like, oh, damn it. It's LinkedIn. Inadvertent. So always check your privacy settings.
Yeah.
And Brett is saying, had conversations with various folks who fell for social engineering, family hostage, Microsoft support, bank errors, etc. Helping the elderly stay safe seems near impossible. But if taking their car keys away is hard, try getting their phone or their computer. They struggled to learn how to pay bills online. Now they can't imagine not having these tools. Yeah, it's the sense of independence, right? And also that discerning what's a scam and what's not, because sometimes they will prey on their concern for family members and stuff like that. And then when they do fall for it, they're ashamed and don't want to tell anyone that they fell for it. So then
now it's embarrassing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of these like astrologer fortune teller accounts on Instagram that will like ask you to send them money for like, and then they'll do some like ritual that will, so my mom almost fell for something like that, and I had to be like, no,
oh no.
And she's like, no, but they only asked for like X amount of money. It's not a huge amount of money. I'm like, yeah, they're doing that to like 100,000 people, so it's adding up for them. So there's like the grifts are endless. Like it's not even on email or text anymore. Like you could just be scrolling through Instagram Reels and get scammed. Who knows what's on TikTok?
That too. Yeah.
And James is saying, I have a Google Voice for that reason. I don't think my cell's on LinkedIn, which is why I've never gotten those texts. Yeah, I used to have a Google Voice number for that reason as well, because then I could screen a lot easier. And Rob says,
that's
how many times
I used to give for like loyalty cards and stuff is like a Google Voice number. So, yeah.
And Rob is saying, how many times I have pointed out that the email is from a Gmail account. No, your bank is not going to use Gmail. So yeah, exactly. That is
no, but they'll sometimes do like a small typo in the domain name, like it'll be Bank of America, but something is spelled slightly wrong, so you don't really catch it. Those are the trickier ones to catch.
Bank off America, I think, was the one that somebody mentioned in there. Yeah, somebody registered. I work for Technolutionary, and somebody registered a misspelling of Technolutionary and was sending people email from that. Some of our users, like, and luckily it was users that we have a good relationship with who got this and went, I'm pretty sure this wasn't y'all who sent this message. And it wasn't, but like at first glance, especially because technolutionary is a long word. When you glance at it and go, yeah, that's, then you look again, like, no, that's actually not ours, but you don't always see like the full email address, like if you're on your phone or whatever, sometimes it only shows you the name for the person. So like a lot of places will put the external, in brackets or ext, so you can tell it came from outside of your domain, and having those is also really useful because that makes it possible to tell like it wasn't from the admin account for your organization or something. Like it came from somewhere else, like with the bank. Like the bank doesn't use Gmail, stuff like that is super helpful. So it's really frustrating too, because like sometimes there are legitimate things that go out, but it's hard to, sometimes it can be really hard to tell the difference because the scammers are getting better at scamming, and it's not always super obvious what the fakery is. Some of them are very clear, like I don't pay for Spotify, so every one of those fake Spotify receipts I just delete, because I know like I have never once paid for Spotify, so I know I'm not accidentally paying for it again. I don't pay for McAfee, so those receipts don't work on me either. But for people who do, or for people who like there's someone else who also uses the credit card, you go, oh, that person must have bought Spotify, I better go update the whatever, that way lies madness.
I got
that today's episode is giving me way more stress than last week when Becky fell off the face of the internet. I think I might be more anxious now than
I got a text message from a government entity, and I went, and I wasn't expecting it, right? So I'm like, I don't know if this is a phishing attempt or not. So I had to go around and try to verify it. And it turns out it was legit, but it was unexpected. So I didn't know what to do about it. And I'm like, how do I find out if this is real or not? Because it was something that I had not been looking for. I had not expected it. No one had told me, hey, this is going to be coming. Watch out for it. So I'm going, what in the world is this? How do I know that this is real? So even when it is real, sometimes you don't know. I like Rob's thing here about the Postal Service using a 44 area country code, because the U.S. Postal Service uses a UK phone number. And then Brandon's talking about financial scams on Facebook recently, reporting a lot of those. The other thing that's happening a lot on Facebook, if you run any social media for your company, or one of your colleagues does, there have been a ton of fake Meta support pages, or Meta enforcement pages, that they will send messages to your page saying your page is in violation and is in danger of being deactivated, and they'll have a little Meta infinity symbol looking thing in their profile picture, and it'll be some long version of a Meta page name, but they're fake, but they try to make you think that your page is in danger of getting shut down, and they'll have some links in there saying, oh, you need to go here to fill out this information to fix your page, or to keep from getting shut down. But it is, I think I've seen as many as 20 messages with varying names trying to scam business pages that way. And I'm in social media manager groups on Facebook, and people are asking about this a lot because it is just rampant. And they do get shut down eventually, but people.
But until then.
Because people do also randomly get their pages shut down for what is seemingly no reason, or an obscure reason. It's like, I didn't do anything wrong and my page got shut down. I see that a lot from people as well. So they're paranoid about that happening, and then it's really hard to recover your page. So then when you add that, and then you get these messages, they're scared it's going to get shut down for some minor ad violation that then it's a lot of work to get it reinstated.
Mhm.
So they're preying on that, and then it's just a mess of people panicking and not reading closely.
To
Mhm.
get these scammers in a room and just give them a stern talking to about their
In the
priorities.
face.
And if they just worked as hard on their education, they wouldn't have to do all these scams to make money. They could just have a respectable job like I do.
That's all they need.
Oh, it was the tuts there. Now my arm hair is up. It was that. That did it.
All right. Well, we've only got 5 minutes left. Well, I guess we will not go into the details of the other ones, but we will put them in our show notes on the community. But the other ones were about software vulnerability exploits, account takeovers, and advanced persistent threats. But in the meantime, while I am gabbing on about this, Urvashi, we have 2 certificate drawings to make. So I'm going to chat a little bit more with Kelly while you draw those. So do a drum roll in your head.
Also, do we want to give the link one more time? Because I feel like we could do with a few more entries, y'all. Pasting the link in there again. And if you entered last week, no worries, you can enter again this week. But no entering multiple times this week, because that will disqualify you.
And remember, this is for
Rob, I just said that will disqualify you. Do not irritate me.
Oh,
Why are the balloons coming up? What is this internet?
All right. So single entry, it is for paid customers. Yeah, don't forget to add your cell phone number so we can text you.
Add your cell phone number.
We can text you when you win.
Type,
Yeah.
Social security number, everything. I want all the information. High school grades, college transcript.
Last 4 digits of your social, you know, all of that. Just
not last 4 digits. I want all the digits.
It must be complete.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do some chit chatting. I'll start the drawing over here.
So we will have the link to the blog post that we mentioned earlier. We will have that in the recap, as well as post your phone number on our Twitter page for additional 5 entries. No, sorry. Nice try, Rob. I mean, Rob, you won last week, and I didn't even get to see your reaction. So come on, you're greedy, greedy.
Come on.
I'm telling you. I tell you what, they want everything. They want it all. But no, I mean, this is cool that our
well played, Brett.
Yeah.
Post Rob's number for 20 entries.
Yeah. It's the same as my luggage lock, Rob says. That must be a really long luggage lock. I don't think I've ever seen anything more than 4 digits, which you could, or 3. Most of them are 3. I was going to say you could put that as the last 4 of your social, but no, if it's only 3, you can't even do that. But yeah, our Jump Cloud University team was nice enough to ping me and say, "Hey, you only gave away 1. I thought you were giving away 2." And I said, "Wait, what do you mean?" They said, "Well, 1 for core and 1 for advanced." I'm like, "Oh, we get to do that? Cool. I like that."
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. Well, now's your chance, Becky. What exactly is it?
You must keep talking.
Oh,
what is it? What exactly is it that you're giving away? Let's start with that.
It is a
entice
voucher.
people.
It is a voucher for the certification test for the core certification and the advanced certification. Retail value of $99 and $149. I just dropped something on my keyboard. I should stop fiddling with things on my desk. All right. What else shall we? Are we going to have to play the Jeopardy theme song while we're waiting on Urvashi here? Oh, the video compression doesn't like my hat, Rob. What is it doing weird?
I don't know.
Isn't it cool? Look at this.
Well,
watch. Here, I'll
show him what it does. There you go.
Look, see, I can make it black, or I can make it,
or it can be purple.
Oops.
Yeah,
do that.
It's very cool.
It's very pretty.
If you don't want to get certified, but just want to learn your way around Jump Cloud, you can go to university.jumpcloud.com and learn a bunch of stuff. The end.
Yeah. So you can get certified, or if you're like us, certifiable. But that's a whole other...
I don't need to take a test to know I'm certifiable. That part I've got covered.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I would give a short spooky story for, it's more of a scary thing, but not like you won't sleep tonight. One of our clients has a number of outbuildings, and some of those outbuildings contain networking equipment for one thing or another. And we were on one of the people I work with was on a FaceTime call to see why there continued to be something wrong with a particular piece of equipment, one of the network switches, I think it was, in one of these outbuildings. So they were on FaceTime and walked into the outbuilding because we just wanted to make sure, like, is the power on? Like, is it plugged in? Is it turned on? All that kind of stuff. So walked in, took the phone, held it behind the networking rack, and there was something large and furry back there. And they went, I'm walking out of this building now, and someone else can come resolve the issue that is happening with whatever's going on in that network rack. And they left. And so someone else came to investigate. And it turned out that there was a raccoon that had gotten behind the network rack for whatever reason and had expired. So once what was left of the raccoon was removed, we got in and took a look and got everything running again. But that was a very interesting tech support call. It sometimes happens when you have stuff that lives in buildings that are outside. The end.
Did it chew any of the wires, or did it just...
I think it just got back there because it was warm, and that was all she wrote, as they say. It never... I don't think there was any damage where it was. I think it just got back there because it was warm, and then that was the last.
These server don't have cooling systems or what? You don't have cooling system.
Well, it's one thing to have it.
Creating this kind of warm environment for animals.
We didn't mean to. That's the thing.
I'm kidding. Did I do
Raccoons.
I'm sorry. That's too aggressive.
Even if we cool it, like, it was still, even a cooled server is still sometimes warmer than it is outside in Maryland. So that's part of why. But that was like, it was definitely a very surprising call to be looking at. Yeah, and then noped right out. Like, yeah, I'm not having any part of this. That's totally not happening.
You know what? If I reached back behind a rack and felt something furry, I'd be like, I don't know if I'd want to look back there either. Not sure I could blame them.
Oh yeah. I was like, I'm 100% in the nope camp right there. Like, okay, now that I'm prepared and I come in with more weaponry than just a phone, then we can have a different conversation. But if I just came in cold and like, oh yeah, no, not today. That's not happening.
And suddenly you're submitting an expense request for IT to have raccoon traps.
Yep.
Except that if it was already dead, it's not really gonna get into the trap. So, all right. Yeah, maybe we should do the winners now. They're getting kind of morbid here. Well, it is Halloween. I mean, Halloween's sometimes about morbidity anyway. So
yeah.
Dead things.
Yeah. I do not believe it rose from the dead later, for anybody that was kind of worried about that. I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. But hopefully that story was long enough that Urvashi was able to get the drawing done.
God bless you, child.
Yay! I got approval.
Whichever God you want. We have many in India. Choose your own.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Choose your own adventure.
Approval. I feel like I won at Halloween.
That's right. Your dad's approval.
See, there it is.
I'm proud of you, Kelly. I'm proud of you.
Oh, Lord. James. Okay, before we do the drawing, I have to read this. Our old network admin told us a story about the startup days of our company. Someone's computer kept randomly turning off and restarting. He went to open the tower, and a rat was electrocuted and fused to the internal power cord. Every time he moved, he was getting shocked, and the computer rebooted. Oh, that's terrible.
That is horrifying.
You're going to traumatize Rob.
Okay, James, you won. That's it. I'm out. I thought the dead raccoon was good enough, but no.
And Brandon has a good story about how a company DDoS themselves. Oh boy. Rob's like, oh, poor baby. Yeah, I know. You tell a rat story like that, and poor Rob. I mean, look at Rob's picture. Look at his little avatar. It is of a cute little ratty. So, that type of story is going to traumatize him and his babies. So we got to be careful about that. All right, Urvashi, do we have some winning names?
I have sent you a secret message in our secret Slack conversation.
Oh, I missed it. Okay. We have. Oh, wait, which one's which? Oh, I see.
That is for you to decide.
Oh, I see. All right. So here we go. Troy Roberts, you get the core certification. And Matt Trinidad, the advanced certification. Yay! We will get with the university team and make sure that you get your vouchers. Very exciting.
Nice.
And if you are at a company that has more than one person and you already have that certification, we can work on letting you share it with one of your teammates or something like that. So we will email you and work that out if necessary. So yes.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Hook 'em horns. I know.
I love the lasers.
I know. I sadly, I think we talked about this before, but I sadly found out that I cannot do any of those, even though I upgraded to Sonoma, because I do not have a silicon. I have the Intel, so
yeah.
I know, right? I know.
Now it's gonna rain. Yeah.
Very sad. So I can do some things, like I have the cool desktop, but I do not have any of the cool gestures. I am very sad. And I can't upgrade yet, so although maybe today's a good day to ask for it. I mean, like maybe I could say,
Becky, don't worry. I will send you ransomware. You click it. Then you have to get my computer.
Then you have to have a new.
Yes, I'm here to help solve problems.
There we go. Maybe if I request it on my birthday, they'll do it, right? But maybe not. All right.
The effects are on by default. We got a couple of panicked emails from people like, all of a sudden weird stuff is happening in the middle of our meetings. And what do? Well, the first thing you do is you read the email from us that says, don't upgrade to Sonoma, which you clearly ignored. And then, so yeah, because it's on by default. So if you pull the trigger on Sonoma and you have Apple Silicon, if that is not a thing you want, then you should go turn it off. But you should also go take a look and see if it's actually on to make sure that you can also turn on rain and lasers and everything else. And balloons.
2023, we thought we'd have flying cars, but for now we have digital balloons, virtual balloons.
I mean, they're kind of fun, so I'll take it.
They are. Yeah.
It's entertaining. All right, well, we are out of time, and yeah, Nathan, you're right. Making it a default on instead of letting you turn it on when you're ready. It's kind of a pain to do that to people because it does freak them out, like something must be wrong or something like that. Because again, people don't always know what's going on when something like that happens. So really, it should be something that is, especially when you're managing things centrally, like allow them to say whether or not it should be turned on. It can be bad when you're on calls with customers or prospects, but I'll tell you what, that it can be fun too. Like if you have people with good sense of humor, then it can be fun and entertaining, but I also understand that not everyone has as good of a sense of humor as we do. So they can be a
I
little
feel like that
snarky.
tells you something about a customer or a prospect. Like if it makes them grumpy that there's balloons in the middle of the meeting for some reason, like I feel like that tells you something about them.
Yeah, it just gives you
Like, who are
forewarning
you?
that
Who hurt you?
Yeah. What you do
Yeah.
with that information is up to you. But I feel like it's an important piece of information.
what Christmas gifts or, birthday gifts or however you celebrate did you not get as a child that has, formed you as a person? It might be that. And no.
Yeah.
Jeff. All right. Well, we are
Sure.
over time. Thank you for hanging out with us a little bit extra today and sharing your stories in the chat as always. This is always one of my favorite shows because we get to share some well, I'm sad that you've had these I'm sad but not sad that you have these spooky IT stories that you get to share with us. But we enjoy you taking the time to share with us. There you go, Kelly. So you had to put
There it
your
is.
hood on. I have a hood too, but then I'd have
Yeah.
to take my hat off to put it on. So not doing that. But thank you all for dressing up and joining us. And if you also did dress up today, and you are welcome to share in Slack or in the community. We'll put the recap up in the community a little bit later today. Or she's always really good about getting that up quickly. And or she's offering people malware to go with their certificates.
Ooh.
So, oh
Not
boy,
only the
yeah,
winners, everyone who entered will get free malware. Don't worry.
yeah.
Aw.
You're so sweet. You're
So
so
nice of
generous,
you,
so
Vashi.
giving,
Such
so
a giver.
giving. Yeah. Thank you, South Asian dad, for all your caring,
God
and
bless
hard
you all.
work. All right, with that, we are out of time. We'll see you. Actually, I will not see you next week because I will be at a conference, but Tom is going to come and sub in. He's graciously agreed to do that. So you will see Tom next week with us. And with that, we'll see y'all later and have an excellent weekend and a great Halloween. If you're going to be doing that next week, go get all the candy. Especially go to Kelly's house and get all the full size candy bars.
Full size.
I have too many kids, so coming to my house, so I'm gonna give the maybe one or two of the small sizes because I gotta make
Good plan.
that budget stretch.
Oh yeah.
A
Oh, for
lot.
sure.
I'll take some pictures of how crowded our sidewalks are and post some of those in the community because I'm telling you, it's a lot. With that, have a great weekend, everyone, and we will see you next time. Take care.